When I first sat down to play Decidueye, I thought it might be able to challenge Samurott for the top spot because of one move alone, Swords Dance. But if I were to compare this thing to another Pokemon or even another run, there are two that come to mind, both by Scott's thoughts. His recent run of Heart Gold with the Licky Licky line is the first. The very first thing he says in that video is that Lickitung, Licky Licky, whoever, is the most annoying good Pokemon he has ever played in a solo challenge. And he immediately points out Lickitung's starting moveset, mainly that it has no way to deal damage to the normal types of the beginning of that game. While Decidueye doesn't have that problem, Gust is a rather weak move, and Vine Whip, which we get at level 6, is going to be double resisted by the first mandatory trainer after the rival, which is the Bug Catcher with a level 9 Weedle. It also has Poison Sting, which is super effective against Decidueye, and if it poisons my Pokemon or scores a crit, that's probably GG's. And I'm going to be upfront with you guys. I have 2 completed runs, but many failed runs early on, and I restarted this run before completing a first attempt. I'll be pointing out where fails happened, which also made me compare this Pokemon to the Licky Licky run in Heart Gold, because Scott mentioned he restarted it multiple times. Since I'm on the subject of moves, I want to cover its level up moves for this playthrough and how I came to them. I used the Legends Arceus Learn set and added 4 new moves to the Learn set, which are going to be coming once we get to the mid-game. It starts with Gust, which is a flying type move in later gens, and would have been great if it was a flying type move in Gen 1. It would make the Bug Catcher so much easier. At level 6, it normally learns Leafage. I've substituted this for Vine Whip. Same power, but unfortunately way less PP. At level 11, it gets Roost, which I've used Recover as a substitute. In modern Pokemon games, recovery moves now have 5 PP, which is a bit unfortunate, so I'm definitely going to be utilizing all 20 PP of this move. Wing Attack at level 18 as a replacement for Aerial Ace, although I could have given it Swift. But having a flying type move for when we have to deal with the annoying bug types at Nugget Bridge and beyond will be useful. Razor Leaf at 21 as a replacement for Magical Leaf, Fly as a replacement for Air Slash at 25, and our first new move, Aura Sphere at level 30. For anyone who hasn't played Gen 4 or later, picture fighting type Swift. Leaf Blade at 34, an upgrade over Razor Leaf, and instead of Rock Smash at 36, which is when this thing normally evolves in Legends Arceus, I've given it its signature move Triple Arrows. This move not only has an increased crit chance, but also has the chance to lower defense and flinch. I flipped a coin for which secondary effect to add into Gen 1, and I got defense lowering, so for this first playthrough, that's what it will be doing, although we are going to switch it for the second playthrough. Brave Bird at 40, Flying type Double Edge, and Solar Beam as a substitute for Leaf Storm at 43. Alright, with all that covered, I mentioned previously that the Bug Catcher can be a run ender, and while this is possible on minimum battles, Decidueye doesn't do it on this attempt. The Weedle's opening Poison Sting not only crits, but it poisons me as well. I would probably have to get 3 crits in a row just to make it by this battle, and that doesn't happen for Decidueye, who's being outsped by the hairy bug even before it uses a string shot. And not only is this a reset, but because I haven't saved the game to this point, it's a restart. Now I will admit, what you previously saw was not my first attempt, it was my second. What you're seeing now is my first attempt. Weedle's Poison Sting without a crit and without inflicting poison will be a 4-hit KO on me, while Gust looks like it's a 6 or 7-hit KO. I do get lucky and get a crit with Gust, but also get some luck from Weedle wasting turns going for String Shot instead of keeping up with the super effective move. For this playthrough, it feels like the Bug Catcher is the first gym leader, but let's face the actual first gym leader. There's not much to say regarding this one. We have Vine Whip, and Onix surprisingly hangs on from one, but we start this battle at level 7 and end it at level 11 where we learn Recover, which will come in handy further down the line. As we head to Route 3, I want to emphasize just how trash of a move Gust is. Against the first Bug Catcher, I have to 3-shot his first Caterpie. The following Weedle is a 2-shot with Gust, and then I level up and can 2-shot his final Caterpie, One thing that I need to keep in mind on Route 3 is that I can use Vine Whip on targets it's going to be neutral against. Like the following youngster's Rattata, I want to be saving Gust PP for the poison types and bug types that I'm going to be encountering, and I really try to take my PP the distance because I don't even heal at the center prior to Mount Moon. I take no optional battles through Mount Moon, and I have 8 uses of Gust left by the time I face the Super Nerd at the end of the cave. I have 0 PP of Vine Whip, and nearly all 20 PP of Recover. Will this be enough, or will I have to spam out Recover and struggle down his Pokemon? Well, the first Grimer takes 3 Gusts, and it thankfully misses a Disable. The following Voltorb goes down in 2 thanks to a crit, and his final Pokemon Coughing looks like it'll be a 3-hit. And it is. We have made it to Cerulean City, barely. Once I get to Cerulean, I decide to face the rival first and go through Nugget Bridge. This is a big mistake. I should be going to Misty's gym first. My thought process was that by the time I get through Nugget Bridge, I'll have Razor Leaf on my moveset, which will one-shot both of her Pokemon, but Vine Whip is more than enough to 1 or 2-shot them. I'm not going to narrate this battle against Rival 2, but I'm just going to point out a few things as I speed up the footage. First, Gust sucks as a move. I absolutely hate this move after this run. It's a 4-shot on Pidgeotto, which allows it to get 3 sand attacks on me, and I start this battle with all 35 PP of Gust, and I end it with 14. I also have Wing Attack by the end of the battle, but I'm trying to save the PP of that to get through Nugget Bridge and the annoying bugs that come along the way, along with the Mankey at the end. I was holding out hope that I could make it to the hiker who guards the hidden elixir, but I have to deal with more sand-attacking birds along the way. The 4th trainer on Nugget Bridge, she has a Pidgey. Wing Attack is going to be a 3-shot, and when it gets down to red health, it manages to get 6 sand attacks on me, completely ruining my accuracy and PP. And by the time I make it to the rocket at the end of Nugget Bridge, the only move I can attack with unless I want to deplete Recover's PP, which I don't, is Vine Whip. 4 uses of it. While I could have just reset the game because I saved before him, walked back to the Pokemon Center and healed my PP, I elect to just restart the run. I was only about 10 minutes in anyway. Run number 3 commence. It's time to take everything I've learned up to this point and see if I can make the early game a bit easier. Since it's not a guarantee I can beat the mandatory bug catcher on minimum battles, I elect to face this bug catcher. It has to be this one, and I'll touch more on that later. That brings Decidueye to level 9, where Gust is a comfortable 3-shot against the mandatory bug catcher. Skipping by Brock in Route 3, I'm going to battle this hiker in Mount Moon, and by the time I face the Super Nerd, once I knock out his final Pokemon, Decidueye levels up to 18 and learns Wing Attack. This time when I enter Cerulean, I'm going to head straight for Misty's gym. I defeat the optional swimmer and the mandatory junior trainer, which gets Decidueye to level 19. I can then use the 2 rare candies I've picked up to this point to jump to 21 and learn Razor Leaf over Vine Whip. Razor Leaf decimates Misty's team, and it's great for the poison and flying types I'll encounter on Nugget Bridge. And we see how great Razor Leaf is against Rival 2. It 2-shots Pidgeotto, as well as Charmander. Trainer number 4 on Nugget Bridge, it 1-shots her sand-attacking bird and can 2-shot the poison type that follows, along with 2-shotting the Rocket's poison types at the end of Nugget Bridge. So, you might be thinking that Razor Leaf is hitting so hard against poison and flying types because it's a move with a high crit chance. And with majority of Pokemon, especially in Gen 1 due to the critical hit mechanics, those moves are guaranteed to crit. But with Decidueye stats, it's not, and this is the perfect time to take a look at them. Let's start with the Alolan form. The 107 attack and 100 base special are great, but the 70 base speed would be enough for you to have the guaranteed crit with moves like Razor Leaf, Triple Arrows, and Leaf Blade. But with Hisuian Decidueye, we have a higher HP, attack, and defense stat at the cost of special and speed. And the magic number to crit every single time with a move like Slash or Leaf Blade or Razor Leaf is 64, and we're 4 points below that threshold. This is the critical hit formula from Bulbapedia for normal status and high critical hit ratio moves. If my math is right, even with 60 base speed, we still have a 94.11% chance to crit with the previously mentioned moves, but you know how Gen 1 is. The 60 base speed isn't going to help us in the long run either, when we have to face the rival and champions Alakazam and Charizard. But one huge saving grace that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we get access to Swords Dance, and considering our attack is our highest stat, I'll gladly take it. I'm going to do a jump cut to the SSN where Decidueye is going to get another moveset upgrade, the TM for Body Slam. I skip picking up Rest because we have Recover and pick up the Gentleman Candy before taking on the rival, and Body Slam is going to take over Razorleaf's old role of something we can use against the flying and poison types, because with our attack power, we should be one-shotting majority of things, like we do with the rival's team. Jumping straight into Lieutenant Surge, Body Slam continues its dominance, one-shotting his first two Pokemon and two-shotting Raichu as Thunderbolt can't do anything to us. I've skipped healing at the Pokemon Center post-Vermilion because I still have some PP restoring items I've picked up like the Ether and Elixir after Nugget Bridge. Razorleaf is easily going to cut down the Slowpokes I'll have to deal with in Rock Tunnel, and once I knock out the first Cubone on the first Pokemaniacs team, we're going to get another moveset upgrade in the form of Aura Sphere. And the moveset upgrades are about to start coming in bunches. Jumping ahead to Celadon, after taking care of some errands like getting the Eevee, a Water Stone, Pokédoll for Mimic, Freshwater to get into Saffron, and the HM for Fly, I'm going to head to the game corner and face Giovanni. Aura Sphere and its 80 base power easily one-shot Giovanni's entire team, and at the end of the battle, we reach level 34 and can upgrade Razorleaf to the more powerful Leaf Blade. Jumping straight into Erica, even though Body Slam would normally be a 2-shot on her Pokemon, we crit Victory Bell so it's a 1-shot. There's no danger of ever losing this one. Which leads us right into the battle with the rival at Pokemon Tower, and this is going to be our last moveset upgrade for now. Because we outlevel his team by so much, everything is a 1 or 2 shot with no real threats on his team, yet. Once we knock out Charmeleon, we level up to 36 and can learn our signature move, Triple Arrows. The Ghastlies here are no threat. Although Leaf Blade is resisted, it still easily one-shots all of them, which in this color palette, they all look like shit stains or fart clouds. Anyway, we need to decide where to head to next. Do we want to go to Silphco or Cycling Road in Fuchsia? And at the time, Silphco made the most sense to me. We can get an extra candy there, our Carbos to help with our speed problem in future battles, and the true prize, TM03 Swords Dance. At this point, I should have just dug out of Silph and made my way to Fuchsia, but I decided to give Rival 5 some attempts, and this first battle goes terrible. At our current level, Pidgeot outspeeds us, and its opening wing attack scores a massive critical hit. While Triple Arrows does one-shot it, I need to heal up against Execute, which then poisons me with Poison Powder after setting up Reflect. I should have switched to Leaf Blade a bit earlier on this thing, but I stick with Body Slam too long, making it a 4-hit KO. One saving grace is that Leaf Blade is able to 2-shot Gyarados, but now we have to face our first Alakazam in the run, and while Decidueye does hang on from a Psybeam, Body Slam doesn't one-shot this thing, which is a bit surprising, and because of it, it finishes us off on the next turn. I tried one more time with Swords Dance on our learn set, but didn't save after teaching it just in case. We make it to Alakazam at +4, and while we are able to one-shot the Psychic type, we don't have enough HP to take an attack from Charizard, who outspeeds and finishes us for our second reset. While I could have used candies or did some extra training in Silph to brute force my way by the rival, I elect to dig out and head to Fuchsia for now. I think getting Koga's badge for the speed boost and Blaine's for the special boost, along with the experience along the way, will help a lot more. Along with the fact that I can get 4 additional candies along the way. After heading through the Safari Zone, I head into Koga's gym, and the jugglers here are no match for Decidueye, but how will the Ninja Master himself fare against our grass fighting type? Things don't start out great as the first Coughing poisons me with Smog, Body Slam is a 2-shot on it, and out comes Muck. Body Slam looks like it's a 4-hit KO. I switch to Leaf Blade, which is dealing a lot more damage when it crits, but Sludge deals massive damage after Koga uses an X attack. I can knock it out and not take poison damage, which would finish me. Thanks, Gen 1, and heal up against Coughing number 2. It thankfully doesn't hit me with Smokescreen and just keeps going for the weak Smog. And once I knock it out, we level up to 40 and can learn Brave Bird. This is the main reason I've been holding on to Recover. I want this move for the league, and I want to pair it with Recover and Swords Dance, but I also still want to hold on to all of our other moves. Since there's no move reminder in Gen 1, I delete Body Slam for our Flying type Double Edge as Wheezing comes out. And like Coughing number 2, instead of going for a move like Self-Destruct or Sludge, it just keeps using its weakest move, Smog. And because of this, Decidueye pulls out the first try victory. This surprised me. I expected to get a few resets to Koga and even thought I would have to resort to Swords Dance, but with the Soul Badge in hand, we get a 12.5% boost to our speed. And from here, we're gonna head to Mom's house before heading south towards Cinnabar Island. But as I begin to surf down to Cinnabar, I actually decided to call an audible. After completing Pokemon Mansion, I'm going to head back to Silphco. I figured with the extra candies in my inventory and the TM for Swords Dance still in my bag, the rival shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now at level 40, we outspeed Pidgeot, and Triple Arrows can one-shot it, with Brave Bird one-shotting the following Execute. Leaf Blade is a 2-shot on Gyarados, but I take some time to gain back health with Recover for the 2 remaining Pokemon. We still don't outspeed Alakazam as it chooses its weakest move, Confusion, and Brave Bird one-shots it, but at 36 HP, I don't believe we'll be surviving an attack from Charizard. It chooses Ember, and Decidueye survives on 2 HP. I use Recover just to get back to full health while tanking Embers, and once I'm back to full HP, I can tank 2 Embers and unleash 2 Brave Birds for the win. What a battle. Giovanni afterwards doesn't provide the same challenge that the rival did. I'm able to one-shot his entire team with the exception of Nidoqueen. But perhaps Sabrina, the Saffron City gym leader, will provide a challenge, since she does hold a type advantage over Decidueye. I don't play this first attempt the best. I just go for Brave Bird out of the gate, when I should have gone for Leaf Blade on really both Kadabra and Mr. Mime. While Brave Bird does one-shot all of her Pokemon, including her final Pokemon Alakazam, it does outspeed me and hit me with a Psybeam prior, bringing me to 3 HP. And although I have HM Pokemon in my party, so I technically win the battle, since my solo run Pokemon fainted, it's a loss and a reset. I partially take my own advice in the next battle, using Leaf Blade on the Mr. Mime but Brave Bird on the Kadabra and Venomoth as I make it back to Alakazam. It goes for Reflect, which is going to lessen the damage from Brave Bird, and then goes for Psybeam, which confuses Decidueye, and I unfortunately hit myself, ending the battle in another reset. Since I keep leveling up in the middle of the battle, I'm going to battle 2 trainers in Sabrina's gym to get me to level 44, and then I'm going to pop candies to 50. Even at level 50, Alakazam still outspeeds our fighting bird. But now, Brave Bird can one-shot the frail Psychic type with HP to spare. This is definitely going to be a spot for early candies in the follow-up playthrough, along with possibly buying some extra vitamins such as protein and carbos. It's unfortunate that the only move that pairs well with Swords Dance at the moment is Brave Bird, and I really wish we had a 5th move slot because I definitely would have kept Body Slam. I have to head to Blaine's gym now though, where yet again we have another type disadvantage, and unlike Sabrina's Pokemon, his Rapidash and Arcanine can take a hit, unless we're able to set up beforehand. So I know I just talked about setting up on Blaine's Pokemon, but there was one attack we have that I wasn't even thinking about, and that's Triple Arrows. It was resisted by Sabrina's Pokemon, so I didn't bother choosing the move, but against Blaine's Pokemon, who don't resist it, and whom we outspeed, it's a one-shot sweep. Jumping straight into Giovanni, it's almost the same. Leaf Blade cuts down his entire team. Only Nidoking is able to tank a hit and counters with Poison Sting, poisoning us. A bit annoying, but it is what it is. Rival before the league, where now I have to deal with an Alakazam that knows Psychic and a Charizard that knows Flamethrower. The good news is that I can sweep my way to the Alakazam, but if Sabrina's Alakazam was outspeeding me 7 levels lower than what I was, then this one that's 3 levels lower is definitely going to outspeed. And I think you can already see the mistake I made prior to this battle. I should have taught Decidueye Swords Dance. I could have set up on the Rhyhorn since I leveled up after knocking out the Pidgeot and probably would have gotten a first try victory. Instead, I have to 2-shot Alakazam thanks to it using Reflect, and it hits me with Psychic, dealing massive damage, and I'm left with 7 HP for the Charizard, which also outspeeds me, and Flamethrower finishes me. Lesson learned. Prior to the next battle, I teach Swords Dance over Leaf Blade. I no longer have a use for this move. While it would be great to have against Lorelei and Bruno, I have Triple Arrows and Brave Bird, which are more than enough to get the job done. And in the next battle, once again after knocking out the Pidgeot, I level up. I can then set up to +6 on Rhyhorn, sweep my way to Alakazam, whom I now outspeed in one shot, along with his final Pokemon Charizard. In Victory Road, I'm going to pick up the extra rare candy. I've used a total of 8 early candies throughout the playthrough, 2 at Misty and 6 at Sabrina, leaving me with 3 remaining. My hope is that I won't have to use these candies at all, although it wouldn't surprise me if I had to use one or all of them at Agatha. The only thing left for Decidueye to do is take on the league. Lorelei is first, and it's going to be the Triple Arrow show until I get to Slowbro, which one-shots both Dugong and surprisingly Cloyster. Against Slowbro, since it's only going to spam Amnesia against me due to Lorelei's AI, I'm going to set up one Swords Dance, and then Brave Bird this thing down, along with the following Jinx, before finishing off her ace Lapras with Triple Arrows. Bruno's next. Triple Arrows for the rock types, Brave Bird for the fighting types. Easy. Agatha follows. I contemplated using candies before this battle because her ghosts are going to outspeed me. The first Gengar hits me with Hypnosis and she immediately swaps to Golbat, who confuses me while I stay asleep for 6 turns. Once I finally wake up, I don't hit myself and set up a Swords Dance, as Golbat uses Haze to cure my confusion, but also take away my badge boosts. Because of this, Golbat now outspeeds me and goes for Haze again, as I set up Swords Dance, which lets me outspeed it on the next turn and one-shot it with Brave Bird. Gengar number 1 comes back out, and it still outspeeds me and reconfuses me, but I get through the confusion to one-shot it with Brave Bird. I outspeed the following Haunter, and once again I don't hit myself in confusion as Brave Bird one-shots. Against Arbok, I snap out of confusion and go for Recover to have as much HP as possible for it and her final Gengar, although I am risking getting hit by Glare, but it just hits me with Acid, which lowers my defense but badge boosts my other stats, and Screech on the turn that I go for Swords Dance. Because of this, Brave Bird one-shots the Cobra, and I outspeed her final Ghost and one-shot it as well. I use 1 candy before Lance just to get over the next damage rounding threshold, but 3 of his 4 Pokemon won't attack me because of his AI. I'm able to set up twice on Gyarados due to it going for Hyper Beam and having to recharge, and at +4, I can use Brave Bird and Triple Arrows, going for Recover if my HP gets too low from recoil. Before the champion, I'm going to use 1 candy to bring myself to 60 over another damage rounding threshold. Let's see if Decidueye can first try him. Pidgeot is first, and the neutrally effective Triple Arrows one-shots it. Alakazam follows. It outspeeds and sets up Reflect, which lessens the damage from Brave Bird. It then retaliates with Psybeam before going down. Against Rhydon, I can set up with Swords Dance and recover any lost HP with Recover. It does do me some favors badge boosting me with Leer and Tail Whip, but this is also a bad thing. Once I'm set up, Triple Arrows obliterates it. The following Exeggutor falls to Brave Bird and it's on to Gyarados. It hangs on from a Brave Bird thanks to me getting a critical hit as it hits me with Leer. I should have just used Brave Bird again or Triple Arrows, but I go for Recover being hopeful that I can tank something like Fire Blast from the Charizard. But because of that Leer and the many we took against Rhydon, Hyper Beam 100 to 0s me. I had 1 candy left in my bag that I used before this battle and make it back to Gyarados. This time with full setup, an extra level, and no critical hit, Brave Bird one-shots it. Last is Charizard. It hits me with Fire Spin and now any of its moves can take me out. However, it goes for the inaccurate fire move again, missing, allowing Brave Bird to connect and taking out the fire lizard with wings, winning us the run. In its first run, Decidueye finishes with a real time of 43 minutes and 52 seconds for anyone curious, at level 62 with an in-game time of 2 hours and 40 minutes. So, there are a lot of things that can be improved with this Pokemon. Unfortunately, the early game due to its move pool is not one of them. Remember earlier when I said you had to face the second optional bug catcher and not the first one? That's because if you do, and after defeating the mandatory bug catcher, once you battle Brock, assuming you skip the Junior Light Years trainer, when you defeat Onix, you'll jump straight from level 10 to 12, missing out on Recover. So once again, another quick restart, because I want Recover on my Learn set. Now, let's see what I was able to do with this Pokemon. In this playthrough, once I get to Cerulean, I'm going to battle both of Misty's trainers and take her on with Vine Whip, and as I thought, it gets the job done just as fine as Razor Leaf. After defeating her, I level up to 20 and can use a rare candy to get to 21, so I have Razor Leaf for the Rival and Nugget Bridge, and now I have an extra candy to play with later on. Rival 2 does troll me a bit in this playthrough, hitting me with sand attacks so the battle takes a bit longer, but I still win on my first try, and it's smooth sailing until after Pokemon Tower. And let's just go ahead and jump straight to Koga, which is where I unfortunately have my first reset in this second run. For this second playthrough, to try and help out Decidueye some, I changed the secondary effect of Triple Arrows. In the first playthrough, it had a chance to drop the opponent's defense, but for this playthrough, I've gone with the other effect in modern Pokemon, which is the chance to flinch. In between both playthroughs, I got the same amount of flinches and defense drops, 0. In this first battle, the coughing poisons me with its first Smog, and against Muck, I'm trying to get a flinch with Triple Arrows, but thanks to a crit, Decidueye can't tank a Sludge, and it doesn't get me once, but twice. I do win on the third attempt, and looking back on this, I mentioned this could be a spot for early candies, but I think I was a bit overconfident since I won on my first try in the first playthrough. And after Koga, I actually take on Blaine next and use some early candies to bring myself to 43, and once again, Triple Arrows just decimates his team. I head to Sylph afterwards and almost lose to the rival because Charizard gets a clutch crit and burn with Ember. Because of the early candies against Blaine, I don't need to use them against Sabrina, and save using Brave Bird for her final 2 Pokemon, as Leaf Blade one-shots both Kadabra and Mr. Mime. A first try victory in this second playthrough. So far in this second playthrough, the only trainer to give Decidueye any resets is Koga, but now we can add Rival 6 to that list. I forgot to teach Swords Dance before the battle and use candies, so the Alakazam outspeeds me, doing massive damage with Psychic and gets a special drop, and I just can't take out the Charizard afterwards. After another quick reset, because I forgot to teach Swords Dance but used my candies, I set up on the Rhyhorn and easily take out his final 2 Pokemon. Decidueye has no problems in the league, until it reaches the champion. Attempt number 1, I make it to Charizard, it chips me down with Fire Spin and then finishes me with Fire Blast. Attempt number 2, Fire Blast does massive damage, and then the recoil damage from Brave Bird causes a double knockout. I didn't have to wait long for victory though. On attempt 4, Charizard misses a Fire Spin, and Brave Bird one-shots it thanks to being fully set up. In its follow-up attempt, I have a slightly worse real time due to champion luck, 44 minutes and 40 seconds, finishing at level 61, but I shaved off 3 minutes of in-game time with a 2 hour and 37 minute finish. Okay, so I've been revamping my tier list as I go back and play some of my older runs. I have a link in the description where you can see Pokemon I've redone and those who are not produced videos yet. You've been warned about those spoilers. For this video though, I'm going to post a spoiler-free tier list. I do my rankings by in-game time, which you'll see on the right. I've gotten a lot better at these games compared to 3 years ago when I posted my first solo run. If one tier gets too bloated though, I may look to do some rebalancing, and one thing to note, I need to give the Galarian birds a second playthrough and do them some justice. I think I can get them into the S tier, at least Articuno and Moltres. Zapdos might be destined for the high A tier, but now for Decidueye. With its 2 hour and 37 minute in-game time finish, it's going to go at the bottom of the A tier behind Typhlosion and Sandslash. And that's the Hisuian starters done. It's no surprise Samurott ranks at the top. I hope you enjoyed this run, and as always, thank you for the continued support. If you want to play with Hisuian Decidueye, I do make the patch files available for members, so if that interests you, go check it out. I think it's time we jumped back into Gen 5 and I stopped putting off this run. I'll catch you in my next one. Take care, everybody.